Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's show, I was going to say, this afternoon session, online webinar, where we will be talking about submetering in buildings, a little bit about the benefits, and maybe some best practices on how to propose it to a typical energy efficiency client. I'm here today, Niklas Raudler. I'm responsible for sales here at Dexma. With me, I have Jean-Pierre RC in my team who's running business development for Europe. So what we would like to talk about today, we hope you will find it interesting, is, and let me see if I can change the slide. Give you a short introduction to the company, like we always do, but we'll keep it very, very short. Then we'll enter into to talking about the drivers behind submetering, as opposed to just going to the physical meter, and what's good about it, and what are the pitfalls and the problems that you might find, advantages, and some of the solutions that we provide, or that we know that are around in the market, in case you haven't worked with submetering previously. And then we will have a couple of minutes for questions and answers. We'll try to keep today's session to around half an hour. So I will then invite Jean-Pierre to talk about the intro to the Dexma in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Niklas. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning for a few of you. Let's start this webinar with the introduction, the discovery and explication of Dexma. So we can see on the first slide our split for verticals, going from corporate building, university, up to industry, bank. Now we represent about 60 international partners, divided as you see on the map. Globally, we really covered from north to south. A few extra numbers again. End customer, we are around 750 end customers. As said before, 160 partners over the 5 regions of the world: EMEA, US, LATAM. It's 26 countries for now. The solution Dexel Energy Manager is translated in 12 languages. Since 2010, we have already stored about 3 billion readings. And nevertheless, one important stuff as well, plus the 30 hardware vendors and meter manufacturers integrated. As you all know, we're really proud of one of the success of the tool is that we are very neutral. Now, the typical energy management value. So we see Dexel when we can interact between the monitoring and targeting, analytic and benchmarking, alarms and report. We also see the few hardware we are integrated and communication system we use. Again, a few numbers, plus 2,600,000 square meter monitored. That's make about 12 million daily reading. On the grand total, it's more than 7 billion. We're going from the administration, corporate, real estate, and industry. Handing back to Niklas, so now to go deep in the subject of this afternoon.
Well, so what I would like to tell you a little bit about is about our some of the best practices that we have learned. I mean, as Jean-Pierre told you, we've been working with about 160 partners. Number is growing, and one of the things around submetering is that many people think that it's very complex. It takes an engineering project. Just going on the physical meter gives me enough information. Some people think that just energy efficiency, I know what I should be doing. So, I will change the heater, I will change the LED lighting, and then I'll just check the bill at the end of the month. Now, there are savings that can be done that are obvious, and there are others that aren't quite as obvious. We think that it's worthwhile to do submetering in most buildings. We'll go into detail on where we think it's useful, but an energy efficiency project, and I think we all agree on that it's something that you want it to become a real project where you can earn good benefits and good margins on your projects at the same time as the customer makes big savings, because that's what's going to make you stick with the customer for a long time. So to get into that sort of marriage with your customer, I think you need submetering. You need to get into a detail with the customer. We know that more than 30% of energy is wasted in buildings in general. There are various investigations showing that. And that's also our experience. We'll talk about the case here in a few lines. So submetering is something that is completely impossible to not use if you need to verify your ROI, if you want to do continuous operational improvement in your change project, because in the end it's something you want to change. You come from one state and you want to take it to another state, and in order to do that, it's change management as described in any corporate management book or MBA literature. So some of the pitfalls that you want to avoid is that you want to make sure that you have the right guys on the project. You want to have a good project manager. You want to know that you have the electrical engineers, the IT, not to forget, because this is just as much IT as it is electrical engineering. And you need in the customer to have an executive sponsor, somebody who's actually backing it, just like in any other change project. One of the things that is very important, or we find is very important, is to get all the employees in the customer engaged. Just as we said, there needs to be an executive sponsor. Once you get an employee engagement, you can start getting those last 10-15% out of the 30, meaning almost half of the potential savings, which are behavioral change. With the University of Catalonia here, they have gained last year compared to 4 years ago 27% on an annual basis. So they're saving more than $1 million a year, and half of that $1 million is basically making people more conscious, making sure that they are switching off lights and they're working with the temperatures in a responsible way, and so they don't put the heater up to 28 degrees in the winter just because they're a little bit cold when they take off the coat, and all of those different things that make you save lots. And then, of course, as with any change project, it's extremely important that you communicate. You communicate and you communicate. That's something that we as engineers are not very good at sometimes. But this customer engagement, where you're trying to stick with the customer and you're also trying to change things in the customer, you need to communicate every single little win. We have saved so many kilowatt hours in this project, and every month you go back and you don't only communicate it to the energy manager or your direct client. If you can, you should put out all types of dashboards and different communication things so that as many people as possible in the client knows that you are actually saving lots for them. Put a good dashboard in the reception of the office of your customer. It's not only going to help the energy manager of your client, it's also going to help yourself to stay with the customer, because it will be much more difficult to take away or switch out that dashboard in the reception than it is to switch out you as a consultant sometimes. More on the technical level, you need to be very careful with the detail. Going into the electrical cabinet and going into communications. So you have everything pretty well planned, because that will save you many hours of installation problems. Better to plan well ahead than to go out and discover that you didn't have connectivity in the installations because they're 6 meters below ground and there is no GPRS and you can't get a LAN connection or Wi-Fi connection. You need to figure out how to work in each one of the customers. As I mentioned before, building dashboards is another takeaway. It's a given in our tool in Dextel. You see our dashboards is really crucial to get this communication internally in the customer. And if you can get them to actually put it in front of all their employees, you will be winning so much. You can also sell the Hawthorne effect that maybe you know is the effect that was measured sometime in the 60s, I think. I wouldn't put my hand over the fire on which decade it was, but where it was demonstrated that as soon as you show people that they are cared for and that somebody is vigilating or somebody is monitoring them, you will have a productivity improvement. And that's very much true here. We know that just by the fact that people know that you're monitoring energy will take off between 3 and 5% of your consumption. Then, of course, the obvious, or the ones that you can do with submetering and with real-time metering, is to watch over the peak demands, work with the loads, identify all the passive loads that you have during the night, something that you can never find out from just looking at the bill. Working with ratios, putting ratios in absurdum to every type of height. With the Excel, obviously you can do that in any kind of slicing and dicing you want to do on the data you have. And look out for anomalies. Any outlier in your sort of diagram of measurements is very often a possible saving waiting to be done. You will often find these sort of strange things around ventilation and air conditioning and heating. So those are the sort of takeaways that we've found in studies. So when is this useful for you? Well, so like we mentioned before, if your energy audit detects large savings potential and you find some certain circuits are over-consuming, then it's probably time to start monitoring and try to find out why this is happening, because that will be where you will do the quickest savings and the biggest ones at the same time. Another reason is when you need to allocate and assign costs to individual processes, to individual systems, or when you need to pass on costs to different cost centers. Could be tenant billing, where you have tenants in a shopping mall or in an office building. It could be inside your company with your different divisions carrying part of the energy cost. So obviously, if you need to automate and follow up and calculate variables, when you need to follow up on savings and prove savings, and pretty much in any place where you would have a higher consumption of 1,500 or 1,500, 1,800 euros per month in site. So it doesn't need to be very big for you to get a shorter than 1 year ROI on putting in a analyzer on a number of circuits. What should be considered? I mean, if you do fiscal metering, you will only have the main line. But apart from that, you could look into the individual circuits, electrical consumption, other types of energy, water, gas, fuel, thermal heat, comfort conditions in combination with the energy, temperature, internal, external, humidity, and often you have to guarantee, if you're on an ESCO model, you will have to guarantee some kind of comfort, minimum comfort, in order to get control over the HVAC systems. So obviously you need to measure them. Process variables in industry, anything else really that is relevant for the consumption, so you can connect those two things and try to find out the formula and see if that is a reasonable formula, that the outside temperature affects my consumption so much. Is that reasonable or not? Should I improve my insulation of the house or so on? It opens up the whole field of parameters you can measure through analog signals, flows, pressures, enthalpy, process temperatures, facade irradiation, whatever you need. The key thing here is that any value that can be measured can also be monitored in our tools, and is useful to help you to test and validate the evolution of your project. We have everything from people who are using just one fiscal meter to people who have up to 200 parameters that they are monitoring for one single supermarket within our partners. So going back to then, I mean, just to explain the concept for those of you who may not know, if we look at the main meter of a building, this is what we will see. We will see a consumption that is higher during the day, and we'll see a lower during the night. We can obviously think that the lower consumption during the night is something that we can work on to try to get this passive night consumption down. We also see that we have two peaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, certain days. It could be a hotel that has the kitchen in the morning and then the guests are coming back in the afternoon. It could be many things. But obviously, if we go into the detail, we will see what it is that is consuming which part of this complete pie, and we can understand then what exactly is happening with the climate is the one that is taking the morning and the afternoon. Lighting is pretty even during the day, and knowing this, it will help us to take away loads from the morning and put it later in the afternoon. We can work with the air conditioning system. We can automate things, but only if we know how to do the change. If getting a control system, if we don't understand what's happening on the global picture, it doesn't really help us very much. So getting this overview is where it's absolutely necessary to have this submetering in place. So, like I mentioned, the pie chart is obviously another way that you can see the consumptions. You can see it on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, or intraday basis. You select which time period you're interested in. So, with that, I will hand over to Jean-Pierre to tell you a little bit about ways of getting data.
Thank you. So, way of collecting data, as you probably know, we have several ways of collecting data. We have the DexGate or any other compatible device going through using Modbus custom device feature to the DexGate. We have also other gateways or data logger that are in the market that are directly integrated within Dexel. I will show you the page just after this one. You can also push data through a CSV text file that we can receive or by email or by FTP. Then another one is communication with another system through the Dexma Open API. All this information, of course, is available on our support webpage that you can find on support.dexmatech.com. To show you the pre-configured data gateways data loggers, here on Dexel Straight, you have a few examples. So you can see the picture, you just have to click on it, and the information requested will be asked. So very easy to connect. So how do we get the information? Starting from the bottom of this page, we see the metering, water, gas, electricity. Using sometimes a pulse converter, we connect through the Modbus, for example. If you follow me, I'm going down to hub, and using USB device or Wi-Fi devices, ZigBee, connecting to the DexGate or to any other gateways. Then we connect through the internet or per LAN, per Wi-Fi, per GPS, 3G. And then the data are pushed in Dexel, as you can see. No, I think important to again explain the advantage of submetering for you. First of all, you have a full picture of your energy mapping with detailed real-time data. As Nicholas explained, it really helps you to get more detailed information. What for? Account granularity, where the energy thieves and low food hanging. Time evolution, you can see, as explained again, Nicholas said, intraday, week by week, annual, monthly, for load shifting. Second point, very important, it's increasing your presence in your customer account. You will have more data to share, bigger savings to achieve. Your customer also, we think your customer also will invest more time with you and more likely to remain with you for a long time. And of course, the third point, very valuable for any company, is increase your sales, not only in the software, but as well in your energy services, hardware or installation. The more knowledge you gain, the better your saving potential will be. Having access to submeter data implies knowledge about in what and how the energy is spent. You can have more information on the Dexma Energy Academy. You can see where we have success story about different verticals, supermarket, industry, success story. It's also available in the partner intranet. Again, available as well on our webpage is the price list for the gateways, for the other service we can offer to help you for this. So I think we had covered a point, and again over to Nicholas.
Okay, thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. So basically now I would like to turn over to a couple of minutes on questions. If you have any questions, let us know. We will keep the line open here for a few minutes. what you saw before here, just for me to show you, on the left side here is the upcoming, in the next month we will launch our new partner intranet. You've probably seen the one that you have been invited to when you signed up as a partner. We are redoing that completely, and you will have the information more easily accessible, recent articles from DEXMA. We're hoping to get in time to have a little web shop where you can buy at least the hardware and the accessories through this shop in a more automated fashion. But more about that in another webinar. I just wanted to put a little bit of publicity on that. And then, of course, the DEXMA Energy Academy, very important. If you haven't done it, go through it. It will help you a lot in getting up to speed on the product. So please go ahead with your questions. I will be waiting for a minute or two. Okay, so I have one question here coming up, which is okay. So I'm used to doing physical metering, but I'm not very sure about what equipment. If I wanted to go into submetering and put network analyzers on all circuits, what should I use? Can I get some advice from DEXMA? Well, DEXMA is not a provider of submetering equipment, so we don't really gain anything from that. But we do have some experience on most European suppliers and some others as well. So you're always welcome to come in with your question, obviously without strings attached and with no guarantees given. But at least with our best advice from what we've heard from other partners, we're always happy to help if we can. There is another question around the DEXgate. So the DEXgate, as a tool here, this is the, to explain a little bit, the DEXgate is the DEXMA's own data logger or gateway to which you connect all the metering, the meters that you have through Modbus in series, and you connect it to the DEXgate, and the DEXgate then pushes the data up to our cloud. Why is the DEXgate anything different from the concentrators from any other supplier? Well, it's not very different, but we saw that it was absolutely necessary for us to start providing the DEXgate. For us, it's a necessary bad, as some people say. Obviously, we don't have as big series as a huge hardware supplier, so for us, it's harder to get any margin on it. But we see it as necessary because we're one of the few data loggers that you can actually connect to any vendor, which means that if you have a multi-vendor environment, it's very difficult to take a data logger from any of your normal suppliers and connect all the existing meters with the ones that you want to put inside the building. Maybe you have socket making in place and you need to add Schneider, or you want to have a Circuitor, or I'm not going to mention any more names just not to do publicity. But our data logger is completely, truly multi-brand. And there's another little thing with it, is that it was built by computer engineers and not from electronical engineers. Electronical engineers are very good at doing electrical engineering and electronical engineering, but not so good at doing software. And all of these have a software interface, meaning that we, as a software company, we think that our DEXgate is a more complete and more configurable and more useful, given that it's been made by computer engineers. But we will ask you to make your own opinion using our DEXgate. So now we have another question here. So we have one question, which is if we have a good example of a company that keeps their employees interested in energy consumptions and savings. Well, one that I would absolutely want to mention is this university that I was talking about before. There's a public case that you will find available much more information also on the partner intranet. The Technical University of Catalonia, which is about 40 buildings in 9 campuses, saving 27%. I'm mentioning this again and again because that's where we have so much information, and they've also participated in numerous webinars, and there's lots of information. Normally, the thesis that most people that different surveys are finding is a number around 30% of savings that are potentially done, and between 10 and 15 of those, so almost half of it, is based upon behavioral change or strict automation that you can't even switch on and off the light when you want. The most common is, of course, that you make people more aware in public environments, schools, etc. You probably don't have a huge PMS. So I would encourage you to go into the UPC example via our partner intranet, the Universidad Politécnica de Catalunya. You will also find a little video with Didac Ferrer, who is explaining exactly how they have gone about, and it's a pretty detailed exposition. We also have a number of other cases that are more or less public that we can explain to you. So let us know, and we'll try to see how we can help you.
Okay, we have another question here, again asking for an example of submetering success. We have different verticals where this has been really proven as success. I will take the one we see in the presentation. So imagine you are leading a supermarket. Supermarkets are known for different line of consumption. I'm back, as you've seen on the screen, I'm back to the general consumption. The 3 other lines we have here are back for the cold line, for the climatization, and for the lighting. So this submetering show you, if you go deeper on the line, you see that the purple one is the cold line, so the fridges, the freezers, and you see that those guys have a normal consumption, very stable all day long, night and days. You can see, as Niklas explained before, that the climatization is following the peak we see on the last 2 days of the week. So one of the ideas, which I'll use you, is maybe to calculate to see if this cold line can be reduced or need to be keeping like it is. Do we need to change the fridges? Do we need to put more isolation on the top when the shops close? Because we see that there's no big peak. Same for climatization. We see that the climatization has a peak more or less every day, some days of the week, twice a day. So why? What happened? What changed the temperature inside the shop? Is it because the morning I need to refresh a lot, or to cool a bit up the temperature inside the supermarket, and during the day it's stable? So this allows you to make much more detailed calculation on a specific line of consumption. This can also be done for everything like hotel. This can be done for industry to see if our lighting will be the same industry. We may have a line for compressed air. We may have a line for HVAC as well. So the basic is the same for every kind of verticals. You have a quick view on which combination affects my total consumption.
One final question here, or not, well, the final, that depends on you. We have all the time in the world. So that's about the communications cost. So you were mentioning before GPRS or 3G. So if you want to connect your all your submetering, if you want to put in many meters, is that going to make it any more expensive communication-wise? So you need to have a bigger SIM or anything? In principle, at least when you're working with our modems or our data logger, the Xgate, the data amount is not so big. So normally it wouldn't really be dependent on how many devices you have connected. Every 15 minutes they will be sending data, and the amount of data is pretty reduced. So submetering communication-wise is not going to be more expensive. It's only going to demand more lines when you have more buildings. You will have one per data logger. If there aren't any more questions now, I would like to pass on to do a little bit of publicity for our upcoming webinars. If you haven't registered for our general open for the general public, talking about the platform itself, we will be showing a little demo about the platform, and we will be talking about the importance of an open platform, creating an ecosystem around a platform. That's how we see our tool. That's how we see the Dexel. We're allowing all of you guys to develop your own specializations or extensions to the tool, and by that creating a healthy and living ecosystem around our product. We will talk about that much more tomorrow afternoon. I think it's about 3:30 in the afternoon if in English speaking, and 5 o'clock in the Spanish speaking version of the webinar. The 10th of June, we will be talking about the different types of reports you can work with Dexel. So if you haven't gone into detail on that, we will be showing you those ways of building reports. And I think that's important from this communication perspective that we said before. And then 2 weeks later, there will be a detail on how to use the measurement and verification, the IPMVP protocol in Dexel. This is something that is, of course, important for you when you need to work as an ESCO, or if you do ISO 50001 projects, and anywhere where you need to prove the savings that you're doing. So we hope that will be interesting for all, and we hope to see you soon in any of these webinars again. And in the meanwhile, let us know if there's anything we can help you with. Contact with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.
Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.